Okay, let me expand the screen. Okay.
All right, we'll start. We'll count down 5, 4, 3. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Isaac.
And this is your boy Bryce.
And we are brothers on tennis. And folks, we have put a cap in the final Grand Slam of 2023, the US Open. And Bryce, I'm telling you what, man, was it not a fantastic Grand Slam in total?
It was. I mean, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but even when you go back to the quarterfinals, the matchups starting with the quarterfinals were great. They were awesome. And like I said, we'll talk about those in a few minutes. But historic all the way around. Historic to Novak Djokovic. Congratulations on this goated chase that he's been on. I think it's kind of hard not to nod your head his way at 24. And then Coco Gauff. I mean, we're going to talk about how we talked about this coming into the tournament. And the fact that she actually saw it through and did it is just absolutely amazing for her and her career and her team, who we will talk about also is A++++. So.
Exactly, brother. So where would you like to start off on this kind of on this recap, if you will, or post show of the US Open?
Well, we'll build it up the way we normally do. And I'm going to pull up here the mixed doubles final.
Yes.
That we had. Mm-hmm. And, with the mixed doubles, we had a finals of, now I hope I pronounced his name right, but Danilina. And Heliovara.
Yep.
Heliovara. They took out the top seeds, who were Jessica Pegula and Austin Krajicek, the Americans. So, we were hoping the Americans could come through. I actually did not see the mixed doubles final. I don't know. Did you see it?
Well, remember, I'm on Spectrum, so that's all we'll say.
Which is another memory of this year's U.S. Open. All of you that were on Spectrum, like we said, our hearts go out to you. That was just
straight salty. Right. Let's just put it like that. So no, I missed the mixed doubles Grand Slam final, but hey, once again, you had Pegula, Krajicek. They've teamed up before, a great mixed doubles pairing. Great, good on them for making it to the final. Hoped that they were going to be able to pull it out, but unfortunately, they came up a little bit short. But kudos to them, and regardless, kudos to them.
Right, and I'm assuming they are potentially a pairing as we're looking. We're going to have to start talking about Olympics stuff. Kind of coming up, and they, maybe that is a pairing, which makes me also wonder Coco Gauff.
Right.
Because before, wasn't she like with Jack Sock, and but Jack is retired now. I guess she's going to get Rajiv Ram, huh?
Potentially, yeah. I guess he would be because he's still at the top, so I would expect for him to be paired up with somebody. And Coco, I could get with that pairing. I could.
I still got a little PTSD with the Rajiv Ram pairing with the sisters at the Olympics, but we're gonna look. We are a place of second chances.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. Very well said, Bryce. Second chances all day.
But anyway, I can tell already this show is going to go all kinds of different places. But shout out to Danilina and Heliovara for snagging, Grand Slam championship. And Isaac, I feel totally unprepared for this. I'm assuming this is their first Grand Slam.
I mean, I would assume so because I have not seen their names in any other championships. I mean, I've seen Heliovara, but I don't know if he has a Grand Slam or not. So I honestly am not really sure. So shame on me if he does. I apologize. We apologize. But if he does, he probably has just one.
Exactly.
So we'll go with that.
And with that, we're gonna keep it moving, right?
That's right.
That is obviously our song of the week.
Yes, it is.
Let's move over to the women's double.
All right. Yes.
And in this final, we had Dabrowski and Rotliff
Yes.
against Sigmund and Zvonareva. I mean, like, Zvonareva is kind of like, you think she's gone and you forget about her for a minute, and the next thing you know, she's in a Grand Slam final.
She's like, wait a minute, don't count me out. I'm still here. I'm still around. That's Vera Zvonareva, man. She, and she old school, so we love her. So good to see that she's still around, still doing her thing. And I tell you, to be able to make it to yet another Grand Slam doubles, women doubles final is a really great accomplishment.
It is. And you know what? Now I did watch this match.
Okay.
And this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dabrowski and Rotliff. They did what they needed to do to win. Yeah. But I felt like Sigmund and Zvonareva, because I've seen them play a lot before. Yeah. It wasn't their best day. They, especially Zvonareva. And I'm not used to not seeing Zvonareva really kind of come through in the clutch. Mm-hmm. And there were some points there where just unforced error on her at critical points. Like I said, not taking anything away from Rotliff and Dabrowski, because Dabrowski was all over the net. She was extra aggressive, but I don't think they got an informed Sigmund and Zvonareva in the final. But congratulations to them for getting their first one. And also, Isaac, do you remember we interviewed Rotliff at our very first City Taste of Tennis in New York at Tavern on the Green?
That's right.
She was with a group of other doubles players, and she was the only one who had qualified.
That's right. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, and they were awesome. They were really nice young ladies. So so shout out to her, man. Good on you for being able to lift a Grand Slam doubles title. That is phenomenal. It is fantastic, man.
Right. And I saw she's now ranked number 20 in the world in doubles. So
very nice.
Things are looking really good.
Climb.
All right. So let's keep it moving and let's take it to the men's doubles.
Yes.
We had familiar names, very familiar names in this final. And
yes,
we had Salisbury and Rajiv Ram. Mm-hmm. Going against Bopanna and forever my guy, Matthew Ebden.
Oh, yeah.
There's no secret I was pulling for Ebden because I always pull for Ebden no matter who he's playing. But Ram and Salisbury took this in 3.
Yeah. It was a tough battle. Definitely a tough battle. But, it's really nice to see some kind of common names, if that makes any sense, because we've been kind of seeing just some really interesting results of this year in men and women's doubles. So to be able to see a final featuring Ram and Salisbury versus Ebden and Bopanna, I was like, okay, I know these people, I know these guys, and so may the best man win. Honestly, on my end, but I'm very happy for Rajiv Ram and Joe Salisbury. I mean, they're a great team. They were number 1 in the world. And, they really played some outstanding doubles. I did see parts of their match against Krajicek and Dodig. And that was actually a very hotly contested men's doubles match. So I definitely enjoyed being able to at least see that. I didn't get to see the final. We won't revisit that, but again, happy for them. But like you said, I mean, honestly, going into that match for me, either team could have won because I like Bopanna and Ebden as well. So I'm just happy to see that both of those teams made it to the final and made it a good contest.
And if I'm not mistaken, Ram and Salisbury, this is the 3rd year in a row that they've won this title.
That's crazy.
Right?
So they are definitely loving some New York U.S. Open.
Right. Yeah. So shout out to all 4 of them for way to go. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take a little sip of water here, before we go to the men's and the women's singles? Okay, that's all I need.
All
so,
right.
Isaac, which one do you want first?
You know,
we got to go with the men.
Okay, because I was going to say the opposite, but I can go with you.
I want to end on a high note.
You are insane.
Hey, you like what you like, you know?
That's very true. You know what? There you go. Sorry, y'all. This is Brothers on Tinder, so don't get it twisted. So, starting with the men. I mean, Bryce, help me understand. Let's actually start with the semis. So,
semis? Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, we had in the semifinals, we had Carlos against Medvedev, and we had Ben Shelton versus Novak Djokovic. Now, of those semifinals, I mean, yeah, one was more straightforward than the other, but boy, oh boy, was there some fireworks that came out of that one. Bryce, what do you say, sir? What do you say?
Well, the very first semifinal of the day was Ben Shelton, upstart American, a lot of hype, a lot of energy, a lot of people loving what they're seeing out of him. You know, against the only member of the big three that's playing right now, Novak Djokovic. And pretty much people have stated, you know, Djokovic was going to run through Ben like a bad cold, right? And shout out to everybody who caught COVID at the U.S. Open this year. But beyond that, namely me, but beyond that, you know, the energy really started the round before because we had the All-American matchup of Shelton versus Tiafoe.
Right.
And Tiafoe had a lot of big talk about wanting to get back, having unfinished business in New York.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ben Shelton being the new kid on the block, kind of being under his wing a little bit. It was time for him to step up and show him who the veteran was on the court. And Isaac, if I didn't know who was who, I thought the veteran was Ben Shelton because, number one, Tiafoe looked a little understated to me in his play, and Ben Shelton looked like he wasn't trying to leave anything out there on the court.
Absolutely, Bryce. I mean, you know, 4 sets, 6-2, 3-6, 7-6, 6-2. I think that tiebreaker in the third was it was a big one. And I did see the highlights of that, and it seemed as though, I don't know, it was like, hey, you take it. No, you take it. And then Ben just came up with this ridiculous forehand. That forehand was just fire, because I think it was on a Tiafoe match point, and he fell back and just whipped it. And when I was like, okay, I feel like that was the moment where Ben was like, okay, let's go. And when he hit that winner, it was like boom, 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 and then there's the set. And at that point, I felt like he had the momentum through the fourth, and he took it. He literally just took it. I mean, it was crazy. He gave him a whole biscuit in the fourth, Bryce. I mean, you talking about you gonna show somebody who the veteran is. You can't take no whole biscuit in the fourth set then of a Grand Slam.
And let's not forget, he had already given him a whole biscuit in the first.
Exactly. So he was like, "You look hungry, son. Let me hook you up. Hook you up."
Well, and I tell you what, we've said this, I don't know how many times, Isaac. When we have countrymen or countrywomen playing each other, especially those that have practiced against each other a bunch, a lot of times you see the benefit go to the lower ranked player because they are naturally more comfortable playing this person because they have more court time with them. Right. You also have the higher ranked person maybe a little more, feeling kind of special because it's like they know they're supposed to win
this
match. And when you're playing someone like a Ben Shelton who can just pull shots out of his shoes, I mean, I know Francis couldn't have been happy with his performance.
No, he couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't have been. I mean, and he kind of came out flat that first set. And it's like, dude, this is a grand slam. You can't give away anything. You got to come out there and be ready. Ben sure was ready, and he showed as much. So it was a bit disappointing, to see that again going into the match. We love both of those dudes. So I was kind of the mindset, let the best man win. But in truth, I think you and I had talked about this as well. We both felt that it was honestly more important for Tiafoe to take that match than it was Ben Shelton, because Ben is new on the scene. Everything is new to him. It's all gravy. It's all icing for the most part for him. But Tiafoe, having made the semifinal last year, he actually had something to prove. And in my opinion, it was a negative if he didn't at least make it back to that same round from last year. And unfortunately, he got eclipsed.
He did. And the thing that was crazy coming out of that match was, although Ben played well at certain points, we knew that even playing at that level would not be good enough to beat Djokovic. He needed to take that to another level to be able to, because we know to beat Djokovic, you're not going to be more consistent than him. Right? The times we've seen Djokovic lose is either when Djokovic is just all the way off, or he gets hit off the court. And Ben Shelton has those type of shots, but we haven't seen him hit those types of shots consistently enough across a 3 out of 5 set match against a GOAT, right? It was a lot to ask for. And so it goes to this match, and we see two totally different styles, right? So you have the Djokovic, the GOAT, I've been here a gazillion times. This is my court. This is what I do. I'm expected to win. I'm going to win. And you have Ben Shelton, which was like, I'm fresh out of the college system. We love to turn it up, get hyped. This is the biggest match of my life. We're going to go out here. We're going to do this. I'm going to show up, and I am going to show all the way out. And Isaac, how did that play out?
Well, it's kind of like you said, when you're dealing with goatage, there's not a lot that you can do. I think that Novak, he's got so much experience, too much to even try and recite. He knew he's come across all that energy and everything, and he knows what he needs to do in best 3 out of 5 to get it done. And so, he dealt with the energy, he dealt with the fans, he dealt with all the noise. And again, he did what the GOATs do, and they just buckle down and they get the W. And that's what he did. And to Ben's credit, he went out there and he played his brand of tennis. He is brash when he's on the court. He is vocal. He does do a lot of things that some may question and say, oh, shame on him. He shouldn't do this or he shouldn't do that. But that comes out of the college ranking. So, college ranks. So that's something that he just does. That's not something he put on for the Novak match, because he did it with Tiafoe. He did it with other Americans. So you hear a lot of people out there, oh, he did all those antics. That's how he plays. That's just his brand of tennis. He is very vocal. He's very energetic. And again, in that matchup, it got under Novak's skin a bit. And he chose to, do some things, right, wrong, or indifferent, to basically show him that, young man, you can do all that you want, but the goatage will not stop. And simply put, it did not. So, I just am very proud of Ben Shelton for making it to his first semifinals of the U.S. Open. I expect to see him do, the same, if not bigger things going forward. So I just commend him very much. How about you, Bryce? What did you kind of see, and what do you kind of want to vocalize about that matchup?
Well, I think you said it all. I don't disagree with anything that you've said. I am proud of Ben, and listening to his post-match interview, it sounds like he recognizes that this was a huge step for him and has only motivated him going forward, which is what you like to hear, right? And remember, he's only been on tour a year, 1 year. So, you've made it to the quarterfinals of the Australian Open this year. You didn't win 2 matches in a row for the rest of the year. And then you made it to the semifinals here at the U.S. Open. And there's a whole bunch of people in their first year on the professional tour that would love to have those kind of results. Now, there was a post that we put out that got a whole lot of attention. And we're very happy about that. But one of the things that I was disappointed with at the end of that match was Ben Shelton has, this signature kind of celebration he does at the end of the match is that, is nothing he originated, came from his Florida college playing days, the whole hanging up the phone type deal at the end of the match. And so Ben had been doing that. Where I was a little disappointed was at the end of this match, Djokovic decided to mock his celebration at the end. Yeah. Now, the reason why Djokovic can do whatever he wants to do, right? He has the right to do whatever he wants to do. But when I think about people that I consider at that goatage level, I felt like that was behavior that was beneath someone that I consider at that level. Like, it was hard for me to imagine if Roger or Rafa or even if Andy Murray had been in the exact same situation, would we have seen those type of behaviors? Because it's one thing if Djokovic had his signature move and he chose that he wanted to do that, but when you intentionally do what your opponent typically does, there's a pettiness to that. We saw it last year with Brooksby and Tiafoe in Atlanta. Right. We saw how that went over. So the thing that annoyed me with Djokovic was in the press conference, he tried to make it be like, oh, I just like his celebration, so I decided to steal it. I would have had much more respect for him if he had said, you know what, he hasn't really done anything yet. I thought he was being a little too brash. So, own what you did. We all saw it. It's on film. Like Coco Gauff said, it's in 4K. Ain't nobody else confused with how it went down. So I don't know who he's trying to create this narrative for. But like I said, he has the right to do whatever he wants to do. I just felt like it was beneath him. And I think he would have come across way more classy. Just, you won the match. You're going into the finals. Go shake this young man's hand who made it to his first semifinal, after his first year on tour. Right. It just seemed a little petty to me.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. Again, it's if you're talking again about the GOATs, that's just not something that you would really expect to see. I mean, again, you get out there on the courts, you are warriors, you're battlers, but at the end of the day, when the last point is played, you give respect. And to me, I just don't know that was something that was necessary, that he truly needed to do. And again, we're talking about someone that possesses, 23, now 24 Grand Slam titles, singles titles. So, you know what, just, again, I know he was brash, but you knew going into the match that was his brand of tennis. So you knew that's what you were going to get. Right. So again, as a GOAT, I could definitely see you being irritated if you had lost, but you won in straight sets. So again, like you're saying, just something that wasn't necessary. But again, those are those things that kind of, unfortunately for us, we have to question Djokovic at times because of those types of decisions that he makes. What he does on court is phenomenal. It is fantastic. Right. It is goatage. But it's those types of actions that kind of mar that a little bit, because again, just not necessary. You've been out on tour that long. You don't need to do that to a 20-year-old. He's just trying to do his thing,
And you know what, Isaac? I saw some comments from some people like, well, I think Ben was being rude. Well, how about this? Ben's been on tour for a year. I'm sorry, my expectations for his behavior just aren't that high yet.
Not exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if he were to do something like that, I'd be like, he's a rookie. Got it. He's going to grow from that. He probably won't be doing that 4 or 5 years from now, right? But how many of us, even think about us, did things that our first year on the job in the professional world that we look back and be like, wow, that was pretty boneheaded. I wouldn't have done that, right? But then people want to try to equate, well, that's why Djokovic did it, because he did it. So Djokovic is going to lower himself to anyway. while Djokovic did that, then on the flip side, I thought it was amazing what he did in terms of honoring Kobe Bryant.
Oh,
With
yeah.
the shirt and the 24. That's why it's so hard to just love / hate Djokovic, because he does some things that are just, I thought that was a beautiful moment, recognizing Kobe and how he did it and with the shirt. While the other half of my brain is thinking, what was that he just did at the end of the match?
Exactly, Bryce, because again, that to me, because again, he's going after the record, if you will, because he's tied with Serena at 23. He's trying to tie Margaret Court, if you will, or because he's already got the All right. Sorry about that. I hiccuped, Bryce. I hiccuped.
Yeah, that's all right, because you know what? This is what happens in this age of us with technology and Wi-Fi. But guess what? What we do, we keep it moving.
We keep it moving, just like the song says. And so where I kind of left off was he just did a wonderful thing, winning 24 to have that type of a awareness to, dedicate that to Kobe Bryant, one of his really, really close friends, mentors. It was a beautiful thing. It was just absolutely beautiful.
It was.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Novak. We know how much this meant to him. 24, only he and Margaret Court stand alone with that. And Djokovic, his whole focus is now at least getting 25. We know he wants more than that, but 25 has got to happen. And it's just a tremendous feat.
It's incredible.
There's no other words you can say about it.
Exactly. It's just so, it's just so out of bounds, because who would have thought that you'd have the big three being at basically 21, 22, and 24 now? Isn't that the number? Or is it 21,
Roger's at 20.
Oh, Roger's at 20. I always try and give him that damn Wimbledon.
That Wimbledon he should have had anyway.
That's right. So 22. Oh, so they're in twos, 20, 22, and 24.
And 24, yeah.
Yeah. So just kudos to Novak Djokovic, man. That was again, the Kobe tribute was classy.
Right.
Do more of that, please.
Yes, exactly. Let's reinforce good behavior. All right. Anyway, now let's end on the most positive note we could ever end on. And folks, I'm gonna just, before we even get into this, I'm gonna take this back to after the DC Open, when Coco won Washington DC, a 500 level tournament, her first 500 level tournament, because before that she'd only won 250s. And remember, she had just come off of losing in the first round of Wimbledon.
Correct.
So you got Brad Gilbert in the camp, you got this other new dude, Perry, in the camp who started, right? Yeah, before Wimbledon. Isaac and I, and you can go find whatever show it was, but we stated the changes that we had seen in her game immediately after Brad Gilbert came in. That this was, going into this US Open, was the first time we could legitimately count her as a contender. Before, we may have thrown her name in there, we're like hoping and crossing toes and fingers and hoping the draws break the right way.
Right.
This was the first time that we felt she could go into the draw seated where she was seated and see this thing all the way through. And I know we're getting ready to talk about all the details, but the fact that she actually did it is mind-blowing, amazing, outstanding, historical. I could not be more proud of that young lady.
Absolutely, Bryce. I mean, again, having in a basically 5-week period, either 6-week period, she won a 500, a 1,000, and a Grand Slam. Who does that?
And took out the number one player in the world.
Exactly. And took out the number one player in the world. I mean,
she had never even gotten a set off of before.
Correct. Just what she did over that window of time, it's crazy. And that's what reinforces what they say is at that elite level, it's only the little things. And Brad Gilbert, they brought the right mindset. Because again, we've all talked about Coco, we've talked about the forehand, we've talked about the woes. Even with the forehand the way that it is, Brad Gilbert is, let us be clear, Brad Gilbert is the dude. Let's be clear. He has worked with Grand Slam champions, Andre Agassi, Andy Murray, Andy Roddick. He knows what it takes to get players to the top as it relates to getting Grand Slam titles. He got up in that camp, Bryce, and he said, you know what, baby girl, here, let me just talk to you real quick. First of all, we're going to take some of this tension off of you because there's too much tension. I want you to smile. I want you to smile more. Because remember, she said that. He told me to smile more. Smile more. Because what does it do when you smile? It brings that good, positive energy about you. Right. And then when you're on the court, play your game. You're not always going to be able to bring your best tennis. And that was one of the things Coco said, is she was always trying to be the perfectionist out there. You ain't got to do all that. You got to win on the day. Figure out what you need to do to win on the day. And what did Brad Gilbert write? He wrote a book about winning ugly. Why did he write a book say winning ugly? Because again, Brad Gilbert was not the most talented person out there, but he did what he needed to do in order to maximize his skill set. That to me is what he brought to Coco Gauff, is a different mindset. And boy, oh boy, Bryce, did she maximize that. I'm going to stop and I'm going to give it back to you.
Well, and I'm just going to pick up where you left off, because I think one of the most important things you stated is the fact that as we've talked about Coco and what potential gaps she still had, Brad Gilbert's like, we haven't done anything with the forehand yet. We haven't done anything with the forehand.
Yeah.
And everybody, including us, have said that is what's stopping her from, being able to contend for these majors. And and I don't know the details, so I could be completely off with this. So in my fantasy brain, remember we initially heard talks that Rick Macy was going to come in and work on retooling her forehand.
Right.
And as we all know, anybody that's played tennis for any amount of time, especially when you've been hitting a stroke probably your entire life, that's something that's not going to change overnight. Right. That's going to be months of, you got to get that second nature stuff out of your mind, right?
Correct.
And so I bet there was a conversation that happened with Brad Gilbert that was like, you know what? We don't have to wait till the end of the year to start working on that forehand. There are some changes that we can make right now that will make a material difference in her results. And I bet you that's what got her dad to bring him in, because he knew we can't, between Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, we can't reconstruct this forehand. But we have Brad Gilbert saying there are other things we can do right now that'll make an immediate change. Let's give this a try. And oh my goodness. I mean, Coco Gauff is now a Grand Slam singles champion, ranked number 3 in the world in singles, the top ranked American in singles, and the top ranked doubles team in the world at 19. And we had some people, like she said, not too long ago saying she wasn't living up to her potential.
Right.
At 19.
Right. At 19. Talking about she wouldn't win a 500, but she did that. That's the highest she'll go. And then she was like, oh, well, they don't think I can win a 1,000. Oh, did that. Oh, well, that'll be all she does. That's all. And then what she do? She's lifting the U.S. Open Grand Slam singles title. Incredible, Bryce. Just stupid incredible. And one thing I want to also do, because we've talked about this before on other shows, not only do we have to give a shout out to those coaches, we have to give a shout out to her parents.
Oh,
I tell
absolutely.
you what, Candy and Coco Gauff, if you are watching this, I mean, for you all to trust in those guys to lead your daughter and to have the wherewithal to step back and let them do their job, and you got, you're there, but you're letting them do what they were hired to do. Some parents have such an issue with that they're always just in the mix and in the way. They stepped back, Bryce, and they allowed that relationship to build, for that new voice to permeate and to really be able to be effective. I am so impressed with Corey and Candy Gauff. I absolutely love and adore them, just because, again, they had the wherewithal to step back and allow this process to work.
And let's make sure we give the full picture on this. They stepped back, but they didn't step out.
No, did not.
Because one of the things that I loved about the way Coco Gauff has handled this entire situation is the way at the end of this match, because she knows how the media works. There was an opportunity here for the media to run with this and be like, Brad Gilbert came in and, saved the day, and now he's the king, and Coco is a champion because of Brad Gilbert. She was like, no. She said, my dad is the captain of this ship.
Yes.
It was his decision to bring in Brad Gilbert, because I wasn't even thinking about anything like that. She said, he's the one that did the scouting report for the match, not Brad Gilbert. Her dad still did the scouting report for the match. And although, yes, Brad Gilbert and the other guy, what's his name again? Parariba. Although they may have come in and they put the frosting and the ice cream on the top of this cake had already been baked.
Yes. Let's be clear.
Already baked. And so she made sure that her father got the credit he deserved for this win.
Yes.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Pariba, and all of that for helping, get us over the finish line. But we was already kind of there.
Yeah, we was walking the good walk.
We was already walking the good walk. So Coco was just so impressive, from either the way she acknowledged everyone that played a role, from the way that she acknowledged God in public. Chris Everett was like, what is she doing down there on her knees? But she's praying, girl.
Pray over it.
That's a prayer. Have we ever seen another player pray? I mean, they give the shout out at the mic, we thank God for making this possible and all this, but you saw it in action.
Correct. She said, I'm gonna say this prayer. And I'm gonna let God know. Yes. Right. To all thanks be.
Right, exactly. Even the way Coco went through the draw, it wasn't like she just was running through everybody in straight sets. I mean, she had a number of 3-set challenges, including the finals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love the fact I was on an Instagram Live with her yesterday, and she stated the reason why she made that comment at the end in her speech about the haters and, thanking them for hating on her because it was motivation. She said up to 15 minutes before she walked out on court for the finals, she was reading stuff online about how she was underachieving.
Wow.
And she said she took that as motivation on the court with her.
There you go.
How powerful is that?
19, Bryce.
19.
Crazy. It's all just crazy. But at the same time, man, what a glorious story. And just talk about proud. I had the feels, when she hit that match point and she broke down and the tears started coming. I was like, yeah, sis, there you go. That's what's up.
And you know what? And another one of our friends, who we work very closely with, who has a daughter that plays tennis, mentioned before this match to me, he was like, hey, look, if Coco wins this match, I see her winning 2 to 3 more in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
This really kind of opens the floodgates.
Open the floodgates. Mm-hmm.
You know, because you have to think about it. Now that she has beaten Iga, you know, she puts herself in a major draw. Who is she thinking she can't beat?
Well, exactly. I mean, Iga was her kryptonite. And when she finally was able to beat her, because even with, again, all the forehand issues and what have you that we talk about, she was still able to get wins over the top players. She just couldn't beat Iga. And that to me was the biggest thing that was like, okay, you got to figure out how to get over that hurdle before we can really truly consider you a contender. And she did that. She did that.
Mm-hmm.
She got Iga. They battled. She won. And at that point, you're like, okay, now we working. Now we got something we can work with, because again, it's all mental and it's all the confidence. And once she got that victory, I just feel like that in itself, honestly, Bryce, opened up the floodgates for the possibility of her to do exactly what she did. And that's win the US Open title. And yes, so
let's do this. Let's do like we did with the men.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the semifinals.
Yes.
And let's start on the bottom half here. And I don't know if I even told you this or not, Isaac, but the matchup we had was Madison Keys versus Sabalenka, and Madison was having a great tournament. And Sabalenka was having a great tournament as well. And our good friend, you all know our good friend Paul, after in that semifinal match, after Madison Keys won that first set 6-love, he sent me a text message and he said, "B, is Madison gonna do this?" And my response to him, and I should screenshot it and send it to you, is I said, Sabalenka in 3. Now, I didn't know what the score was gonna be, but Isaac, talk to us how Sabalenka turned that match around.
Well, okay. It's honestly a pretty straightforward equation. Madison choked. Simply put, she choked. She had that. I literally was like, we about to have 2 Americans in the US Open women's final. She served, and I believe it was 5-4 that she served. And she played one of the worst games I've ever seen. And at that point, it was like, okay, you're choking, and this is bad. And when Sabalenka kind of saw that, she was like, oh, okay, I thought I was supposed to be the one getting all nervous and everything, but you're doing it now. So, okay, I can play free now. And again, she did what she had to do. And and I mean, to me, that was the capper, is when she came back and she was able to take that second set in the tiebreaker. I was like, yeah, this is not looking good. But to Madison's credit, she fought. She fought the good fight. And you know what? And like I said, they even got to a third set tiebreaker. But I don't know. I guess I just felt like at that point she kind of missed her opportunity. And so Sabalenka just kind of did what she needed to do. It's still a hotly contested third set tiebreaker. But but Sabalenka pulled it out. So to me, Madison missed her opportunity when she was serving 5-4, because she had Sabalenka on the rope. She didn't know what to do, and she gave her, literally, it was like love for it. She didn't want to point that game. She gave her that service game, and at that point, I was like, "Yes, sis, it's tight on you."
Right, and you know what? I thought what could have potentially been a very interesting situation was in that third set tiebreaker, when Sabalenka threw her racket down because she thought she had won the match. She got 7 points in the tiebreaker and forgot the match tiebreak was now 10 points. And I said, oh, if you were to come back and to lose that, that would hurt. But she didn't, and she won and checked her way into the finals. So
but that one is going to sting for Madison Keys for a little while, because that was her match. That, I mean, seriously, Bryce, there's absolutely no reason that should have gone past 2 sets. She was dominant those first 2 sets. And like I said, serving 5-4, she choked it away.
And you know what? I kind of slightly wanted Madison to win that match, because I thought if Coco made it to the finals, it would be an easier win for her than Sabalenka. But
okay.
Well, because and this is why I'll say it, because of the choking potential.
Right.
I thought that the moment might get to Madison Keys again, because at least so when she met Sloane in 2017 in the final, depending upon what camp you were in, some people thought Madison had the edge, some people thought Sloane had the edge. It was almost like 50-50, right?
Right.
But if she were to make it to the finals again, and then this time against a Coco Gauff, now the pressure would be on Madison, because this is your second time in the finals against another American, where you are now the veteran. You are the true veteran over, and I don't know how that pressure would have played out with Madison.
Yeah.
Sabalenka, having won the Australian Open earlier in the year, I was a little more fearful that she gets into finals. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't already done this once this year. Let's roll. So Sabalenka's in the finals. The other semifinal we have is Coco Gauff against your girl, Muchova. Talk to us about that one.
Well, and we had saw that, that matchup in what was it, Cincinnati? Cincinnati. So, and we talked about this, and I said this before. I don't think that is a good matchup for Muchova, because everything that she does, Coco can do, and the athleticism of Coco is always going to me, bring her above in that matchup, because again, Muchova has that variety. She comes to the net, but Coco's athleticism and defense, I feel like is so much superior than what Muchova can bring to the court. And again, Coco's not afraid to come to net. She's not afraid, so she can play that style when she's playing against the Muchova. And and what we saw in that semifinal was exactly what we saw in Cincinnati. She did what Muchova can do, just better. And she brought that athleticism and was like, yes, sis, this is always going to be tough for you. Sorry.
And it was. And so Coco makes it through there. And then we get the Coco Gauff Sabalenka final. And, in that final, Sabalenka came out and actually thought Coco looked a little hungry.
Right? She was like, hey, New York. And everybody's scared of her. Let's serve it up. Let's serve it up. And gave her that whole biscuit. And Bryce, after the first set, I was just sitting there like, well, listen, because I had to go to a bar to watch the match. Anyway, so at the bar, met some nice people though. But at the bar, everybody was kind of like, ooh, and I was just kind of like, Coco been doing this entire tournament. This ain't over. I said this. I basically, what did you say to Paul on your text message? Is exactly what I said. I was like, this is going 3. I was like, this is going 3. I was like, Coco's not done. I said, you trust me when I tell you that first set is not an indicator of what's about to happen in 2 and 3. And again, Coco was like, yo, I've been doing this. I'm not afraid to lose the first set. I'm a battler. I know how to do this now. And that's what she did, Bryce. I mean, what thoughts?
No, and once again, I think that was representative of the growth that we've seen in Coco Gauff, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you like in your champions. You like that if they happen to lose the first set, that they don't feel like the match is over, right? Exactly. It just means that now I got to win the next 2.
I just got to win the next 2.
And she did that, and she played very well. She played very controlled and within herself. And I'm just thinking, if she won this title like this, I expect for the Coco of 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, it's just going to be just athletically better, technically more sound with her strokes, more experience, more confidence. If I ever doubted that she would be a future number 1, I don't doubt that anymore.
I agree 100%.
she is a future number one. And this goes back to a conversation that you brought up this summer with her and Pegula. She may have to make the real early decision on her doubles life.
Right.
Because if she wants to, and I'm not trying to blow up Coco and be like, oh, she's going to surpass Serena and all this kind of stuff. But even if she just wants to be in that range of the Martinas and the Chris's and all of that, with the way that the game is played now, Martina and them, they were able to do a little more with the doubles and the singles, but she may have to focus more as a singles player earlier in her career.
Right. Exactly. Hold on 1 second, Bryce. Keep it going.
Shit. All right. So this is how we do on this show. We keep it going. We keep it moving. While he's addressing whatever, I wanted to shout out Martin Boylan. We had online U.S. Open gift bag giveaway with everybody wanted to get that daggone U.S. Open towel. And we had more entrants in this giveaway than we've had in any of our other giveaways. So thank you to everyone that entered. But Martin Boylan, congratulations. He did win. Hey, Isaac, he's actually in Southern California.
Oh, wow. Right on.
Hey. Yeah. So we'll be shipping that. We left the stuff in New York with our producer. Because you don't know where the winner is going to be, right? So
right. Anyway. We're always trying to spend some money, y'all.
Exactly. So, Martin, we're going to get that out to you, but congratulations again. And
congratulations.
And once again, thank you to everyone that entered. We will continue to do the giveaway.
Excellent. Well, good
stuff. Back to where you were.
I'm sorry?
Back to where you were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't exactly remember what all I was trying to say, but like you were saying, as far as Coco and I just want her to just continue on this path. I think that she is doing the right things. I think she's got the right camp, the right team. She's doing the right things. Just keep moving forward. Keep it moving forward. Keep it moving.
Right. Because do you think it was helpful that she lost early in mixed doubles and in the ladies doubles?
Anytime you're going after your first Grand Slam, it makes me nervous when you're playing all three events. Once you got a kind of a Grand Slam under your belt, I'm a little bit more, okay, if you will, because things can get really, really, really hectic when you're trying to play three events. And because the scheduling can get crazy, and then you may get, thrown a couple matches in one day. And I just always feel like that's a little bit, extra when you're going after your first slam. Now that she's kind of got that under her belt, I probably am a little bit more okay with it, because again, she is 19 years old, and again, the greats of the past have played all events. So Coco should be able to do that and it not be a big issue. But I always kind of just want to see them get that first Grand Slam under their belt, then adjust accordingly as it relates to what events you play going forward. What are your thoughts on that, Bryce?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I just think they're going to have to read the temperature of the tour and of her body and of the results and just make the right decision. I'm not saying right now, stop playing all doubles, but you just don't ever want to get yourself in a situation where you're allowing other things to compromise your singles results. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to be remembered for. I mean, we already know now Coco is going to make it into the Hall of Fame, apparently. If you know, you know. But, we want her to make it in there with the highest level of status that she can potentially make. So.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you, brother.
So let's wrap this up. It was a great U.S. Open, but just wanted to take a moment to just thank so many people who have helped us in terms of our coverage of this year's U.S. Open for you. First and foremost, shout out to you, the BOT fam, and all of those that we were able to see while we were there. on site at the U.S. Open. That's always our favorite part, hooking up with you guys and seeing you and meeting you. So let's continue to do that. Shout out to the USTA and the U.S. Open Media Department. We so appreciate your support and allowing us to cover the U.S. Open for the BOT fam.
Yes.
Shout out to our producer and his lovely wife Marsha for allowing us to crash in their path for a couple of weeks to do the thing. Always great to see our godmother of Brothers on Tennis, Zena Garrison, in person and all that kind of good stuff. City Taste of Tennis. I mean,
yes, come on.
AYS Sports Marketing for the continued partnership and support and allowing us to bring you all of those wonderful player interviews from the City Taste of Tennis events, the best parties in the tennis world. For sure. Isaac, any people that you can think of or any organizations that I may be.
I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of the HBCU Live and Sean.
Sean Holcomb Jones.
Yeah, yes. Sean Holcomb Jones. Good job, sir, on that HBCU event at the U.S. Open. Loved that. Love seeing the culture again. We are from HBCUs, myself, Bryce, and our producer, Chet. So we love seeing the HBCU representation at the U.S. Open. Please keep that going.
Finally meeting our guy Andrew Jones in media, who is leading the way with people of color in the media room. And thanks for kind of taking us under your wing and showing us the ropes. And Karen, you know who you are. We don't need to mention your last name. But also think about this. Not only those people, but DJ Madlings, who has always come through and shown love for us at events. We love you, bro. Everything that you do.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's people that we are not naming now, but we just wanted to emphasize, if not just the three of us out here doing this.
That's right.
What we do is as a result of the love and support of so many people, and without them, none of this would be happening.
That's right. Takes a village. Takes a village.
It really does. So we're gonna get out of here because we're gonna jump on IG Live, but we got some stuff to talk about that we're gonna talk about this episode here. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and roll. We'll be back at you in a couple of weeks, I guess, to talk about results. Labor Cup is coming up, and we'll see who Ben Shelton is hanging the phone up on there up in Vancouver. So with that being said, on the behalf of the podcast, this has been your boy Bryce.
And this is your boy Isaac.
And we are Brothers on Tennis. Everyone stay good.